is Evie Miller, and I participated in indoor track, outdoor track, and cross country. I guess I could originally say my first interest in running started when I was in 8th grade, so it was pretty late in the game considering a lot of kids start like when they're in elementary school. But yeah, I kind of dabbled in other things before. I played volleyball when I moved to Fort Wayne in 6th grade just to kind of meet some friends. And then I played soccer in 7th grade, and then it wasn't until 8th grade when I finally started running.
I don't think she really knew what she really wanted to do as a sport. And I think she kind of ended up in running by accident. She was playing soccer, and there weren't enough kids for a soccer team her 8th grade year, and so she decided to go out and run. And I think partly because her dad and I both ran. Her dad much more than I did, but we were both had been runners, and encouraged her to do that because she could compete against herself and didn't have to start doing it in 3rd grade to be a good runner.
It was a big learning curve to kind of take on from like my 1 year of middle school running into high school. I came into a pretty big school. It's one of the biggest schools in Indiana. It's one of the 2 largest in Fort Wayne. So I had a pretty good team behind my back, and I knew coming into things that I probably wouldn't be varsity right away, but fortunately I was, even though I did end cross country a little bit early because I had a stress fracture in my left foot. But that didn't stop me from continuing on with running.
She started showing signs of real promise, doing things that not everybody else did. So one of the things she decided to do, I believe as a junior, was try the 300-meter hurdles. And she made it to state senior year. And I think that says a lot, just that she tried hurdles in grade school but hadn't done it, and then all of a sudden she didn't win state, but she made it to state. But her big issue up until the end of cross-country senior year was we didn't realize that she had asthma. She wasn't somebody that wheezed like a lot of asthma patients do, but when she would run certain temperatures, certain races, she would tell me her breathing was off, and she would seem very winded, and it almost made her sick. And we finally, I had her go see a friend of mine that's a lung doctor that made the diagnosis, and it made a world of difference.
So I was first diagnosed with exercise-induced asthma right after my senior season of cross country in high school, which was kind of a bummer because I had a lot of issues then and didn't make things go as well as I would have hoped for cross country. And it honestly made me more scared of cross country, especially coming into college. When I came in and we had a big freshman meeting with Ray Burr at the beginning of the year, and I pretty much told him all of my issues, and he was like, "Oh, I can help you." And especially in cross country, since I was so fearful of it and the distances are longer than what I do at track, he really helped figure out like what my triggers were and like when it was beneficial for me to get cues to like settle down.
Evie's freshman year, she had some, I wouldn't necessarily call them injuries, but she had some things here and there that were setbacks to her training. And the biggest thing that we kind of tried to teach Evie was you're not going to feel great every day. There are going to be times where you're subpar, whether that's in practice or in a meet. And the biggest thing is to work through those things. Distance running is a year-round event, and you're going to have good days and you're going to have bad days. And so teaching her the right tools to use the athletic training staff, to take her ice baths, to use the foam roller, to do all those things were necessary to keep her healthy and competing at a really high level.
Winning a national championship in the steeplechase, something that I told Coach Ray Burr when I was in high school still that I really wanted to try, is like super amazing to me. It was pretty much a dream come true. If I would have said that I had a dream, it would have been to be the national champion in the steeplechase from high school, pretty much. I didn't think I could do the other things that kind of went in between it, but for the steeplechase especially, it was the best of both worlds for me. It was a distance running event, plus I get to jump over things. Now the water pit was probably the most challenging part, but I'm glad that by the end of my years at Tryon, I was able to be strong enough to compete and do it and stay healthy. But it was just so surreal to finish the race and be the first place finally. Obviously, I wanted to see if I could push myself to break 10 minutes, even though like I was sick, so it made things a lot more challenging, but I could definitely tell when I was on the last like home stretch of the race, I could hear the announcers being like, oh, look at the clock. And I got over the last barrier and I was like, oh, that clock, okay, well, there's the time. So I pretty much just sprinted as fast as I could because I knew what the record was before that. So I'm glad I at least came off with that one.
Once again, keep your eyes on the clock. Keep your eyes on the clock. Evie Miller from Trine. Evie Miller. And that is an unofficial time.
I think my biggest goal when I started doing bigger things at Trine, like starting out going to nationals, was, being motivated by all the athletes before me that had done amazing things. And as I kept going, I just wanted to keep doing bigger and better things. And I not only wanted to represent my teams, but I also wanted to represent Trine and kind of guide people to the amazing program that I found, and hopefully let people also see that they could be successful too. I know like all the records that I've set are meant to be broken down the line. I just ran as fast as I could in every race to kind of set the standard for people to kind of reach even higher than I was. 10 All-Americans is a lot, but I definitely think if somebody were to come down the line that they could also accomplish amazing things. I've just been so glad that I've had amazing coaches that have worked for me.
Well, Evie's legacy to me is exactly what the Division III model represents. It's someone who does everything. Evie was active in her church. She was active in CCH. She was social. She did well in school, and she also was a high achieving athlete. And also the fact that she wasn't a highly recruited athlete out of high school. And I think that's the message that I want all of our women and men to know, that just because you weren't highly recruited in high school doesn't predict your future in college. And I think that's probably her biggest legacy, in my opinion, is the fact that she was able to grow, so much as an athlete and get so much faster, because high school is just one section of your career, and the college can be totally different. And then obviously on her performances, I think that her times that she's ran in college, it takes dedication, it takes hard work, it takes sacrifice, and I think the women that'll come after her will have to equal that and improve that if they ever want to beat her times.
From the athletics side, again, goes back to that, she finishes a race, she just cut 30 seconds off of her best time that she's run. She squats down for a minute 45 seconds when the next person's starting to come in, and she's congratulating them and helping them to the side, teammates and all that kind of stuff. That speaks well about a person who is concerned about everybody in her sport. That she's thinking enough of them to help get them up if she can, or to encourage them to stand up and whatever, the leadership skills of doing stuff like that, encouraging your teammates and being there and cheering them on as they're coming in and things like that. She's been there where she's not been the first person in. She's been there where it's been, the third person on the team and maybe 40th or 50th place. She knows what it was like to do that in high school and how important it is to show that with her team.
Evie as a teammate, I think that's something that anybody should want her on your team. She's not only really good and can do well for your team, but she's just someone that is always there for you no matter what. I know I definitely had bad races, and she was always there for me and always supported me. And I know that being on the track, her voice is usually the loudest that you hear. She's screaming super loud just because she's so into it and so she just loves running and loves the sport and just loves to lift people up through that.
I don't think I can be more proud of the woman she is as a person, because when you start getting good at things, it's easy to think it's all about you, and that is not who my daughter is. And I think that she's a beautiful person on the inside. She has a strong faith, a strong heart, cares about people, and that on top of everything else she's done is amazing.